People are going to hate your content. People are going to hate everything that you're putting out, and they're going to hate everything about you. So what do? This is Quit Your Damn Job with DJ Chris Cruz. Tell me how you got started in radio.
All right, so this is a long time ago. I think it's like 18 years now, McCall.
Dang.
Grew up, yeah, dude, I'm old. I grew up in the Detroit area. That's where I live now in Waterford, like a half hour north of Detroit. And I was going to college for a year, and I don't recommend this, but I dropped out just because I was miserable. I am an ADHD child and haven't grown out of it yet. Apparently, it stays with you. Didn't know that.
Yeah, surprise.
And I just was not feeling college. It was boring.
Yeah.
So I dropped out, and I'm working, and I'm driving home from work one day, and I hear this ad on the radio. And it was Ann Carlini on 101 WRIF saying, "Hey, this is Ann Carlini, and I got my start on radio at Specs Howard School of Media Arts." And I'm going, hold up. There's a school for radio DJs? This is a prank. So I called thinking it was a joke, but also thinking, I'm kind of funny. I talk a lot. I could be on radio, I guess. I like the radio. So I called, got a tour of the school, enrolled the next day, finished a year later, and then I've been working in radio every day ever since. And now I work at the school now as well, too, which is cool.
You know, that is super cool. I think it's really interesting because you and I are very similar with this because, like, I heard an ad on the radio and I was like, what the hell, why not? Let's just jump in and go do it because I feel like this is something that I could be passionate about and I could do. So what were you doing before, like, school? Were you working at like a different job? Did you think that you were going to take this other job as a career?
What I wanted to do originally was I wanted to be a rock star. 100%. So I got a bunch of guitars hanging up in here. I've been playing guitars since I was a kid. I loved like Van Halen, Guns N' Roses, Slipknot, Pantera, Metallica. And that's what I wanted to do. And then I realized, wow, that seems really hard. And I don't know if I'm into that like crazy lifestyle.
Right.
But then I'm like, oh, well, I like music. Radio's really close. But no, before I got into radio, I was actually working at a golf course.
Really?
Which is funny because I'm not a big golf fan, let's put it lightly, but I love Holy Moly, best show on television. But I was like waitering, bartending, working the snack shack, washing dishes. I was doing everything at the golf course. And I just hated it. I was miserable. It wasn't creative. I had to wear a shirt and tie every day. It was like the antithesis of somebody like you or me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good place to work and good money, but I wasn't fulfilled. So when I heard this ad on the radio about this school for radio DJs and broadcasting, I was just in and then never looked back.
So did you run into like any sort of backlash from other people that had said maybe you couldn't do it?
First, my parents, and it wasn't that I couldn't do it because they know what my talents are and what my talents aren't. It took me years to learn what I'm good at. They knew I'm their kid.
Right.
But, they were just concerned about, is that a real job? Is that a real career? And, now that I've been blessed to be very successful, they say, we're so proud of you. This is exactly what you should have done with your whole life. We felt like we never knew you until you got the radio. But, you and I have talked about this before in private. I've had people all the time tell me that I talk too fast and they tease me for that, or that I stutter because I have a little bit of like a speech impediment or a speech disorder. I don't know which one it is. And it's hard when you can't say it. That's how you know it's a real speech disorder, when you can't say the word speech disorder.
Right.
So, that. And then as I got further into my career, I was doing more like YouTube videos and parody videos and things like that. And people are like, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I just want to make content. That's what I do,
Right.
I always kind of look at it like this, and a lot of people don't like this, and this sets a lot of people off, but I don't care. I've never looked at myself as a radio DJ. That's not what I am. I am a content creator who makes content on the radio.
Yep.
I also make content on YouTube, just like you. I also make audio content for other things, like you're doing your podcast. I've never just been a radio DJ. I've just been making content. So when someone tells me I can't do something, that's like, fuck you, watch me, let's go. And I just do it.
That's exactly how I feel about it, because I feel like as soon as anybody tells me specifically you can't do something, it then becomes a challenge. It then becomes something that's like, oh, okay, well then I'm going to do it better than you think that it could have ever happened. It could have ever done. But I want to go back to your point about creating content, because that's exactly what it is creating content just on different platforms. It's like the cavemen that used to write all over the walls. Now they have transitioned to books. They have transitioned to paper, and it has transitioned into like a new media is all it is. It's just a different form of content creation. Do you ever hit a point where you think you've run out of ideas, or do you ever worry about hitting that point?
No, I have the opposite problem, and this is going to sound like a humble brag. It's not.
I love
it's a big problem.
I love it because I feel
too many ideas, and that means a lot of times things get left on the table.
Yep.
Like I did this music video a couple months ago, Never Ending Quarantine, back when we were all stuck in our house.
Right.
And I have 3 more songs, McCall, that I've had recorded and written since then, and that was in like April or May.
Yep.
And I haven't touched them yet because I'm doing my voice tracking gigs, my school job, Throwback Nation, weddings and stuff. And I just haven't had the time. And I have ideas for like 10 more songs. My problem is like lock it down and do one thing at a time. I can't.
And I feel that because I feel like my attention is going 100 different miles an hour in 100 different directions. And so it's like, I got to start this and this and this and this and this. How do you normally combat that? Do you just have to like get in and just go? Or is it like you sit around for like days at a time? You're like, I don't want to do this.
Man, that's a really good question. And it's funny because I was literally, and I'm not just saying this for the podcast, but I was saying that to myself today because I'm doing this YouTube series every week and I'm supposed to record it today. And I just didn't want to. I just don't have it in me.
Yep.
And, I try to get them out every single Sunday. And this week I might miss it just because I haven't carved out the time.
Yep.
And I'm not in the mood. And I know me. I don't know if you're this way, but I find like a lot of creatives are. If I'm not in the mood to do it, and this is going to sound so fickle, and I don't mean it like that, McCall, but like if I'm not in the mood, I'm not going to do it because it's going to turn out shitty.
Yep. And that's exactly how I feel about it. I do know what you mean because that's exactly how I feel about it. If I'm not in the mood and it's going to be terrible content that's going to be created, I don't want to put it out there. Plus, I feel like if I'm not in the mood, it's going to take me 15 times longer than it would take me if I were in the mood.
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem for a lot of people in radio who are struggling because they can't do what they want to do on the air or they're not allowed to do a podcast or whatever. It's like when it becomes work, it's not fun anymore. And when it's not fun anymore for someone like you and me, then it's not good. It's not good content anymore. I think that's why my YouTube series, I think, is okay. I think it's pretty good because I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just talking to people and giving them information. I'm not trying to, get all this attention and like get girls and stuff like that when I was younger. I just want to just kind of get the information out there. And that's fun for me because it's not work. You know what I mean? Yeah.
When it comes from a genuine place, I think that it's always better. It always comes across as a better piece of content. I was actually just having this conversation with my boss earlier today about being stifled, feeling like you're being put into a box and feeling like you're being forced to do something like along the lines of work. Because he said, I just feel like if I were in more of a strict environment, I would not want to do anything. And I said, that's exactly how it is for me as well. Like, it's not something that I want to do if I'm being forced to do it.
I think all creatives are that way. I don't think, and no offense, I don't think you and I are special in that regard.
No, I don't either. I think that it's something that a lot of people look over and it comes to almost to a point where people are like, well, I don't understand why you just can't do it. Like more of the, I don't know, what is it, atypical people? I don't know. More of
but then it's not you. And then it loses its magic. I think that's what's so special about so many creative people, like them or not, is, and not everyone's this way. Some people are disingenuous, but the ones that are just being themselves, like that's why I think Jimmy Fallon's been so successful. That dude is arguably very funny, I think, but he's also just himself. He's just charming. He's like cute and innocent and like silly and self-deprecating. And I think that's why he's so successful because it's him.
Yeah.
And I think if they try to pigeonhole him into be funnier or be the clown or, dance monkey dance, that's not necessarily what that person might do. And I think for any creative, it's got to be, it's come out of you. You know what I mean?
And I feel like it becomes far more entertaining and far more relatable when it is that way because people are like, oh yeah, that's exactly how I am too. So when you kind of struggle with wanting to get into that groove, wanting to get into that mojo, do you usually like divert your attention to some other project or create another project for you to get busy with?
No, I usually wash dishes.
Nice. Love that.
Completely serious. Like I'll sit here and I'll try to like write lyrics for a parody song or I'm recording something or I'm trying to record a video and I'm just like, I just get frustrated. So I'll go like walk the dog for a lap around the subdivision, takes 10 minutes. I'll go wash the dishes. I'll go make a phone call. I'll go make the bed, literally anything to get me away from this. And the same thing, like now I'm trying to teach myself how to mix music. Like I've been playing guitar since I was a baby, obviously. But I'm trying to teach myself, McCall, how to like record songs and mix all the instruments. And it's really, really hard. It's the first thing I've ever struggled with creatively that I just can't get. It's so difficult. But if I'm sitting here and listening to this mix for half hour, I just have to walk away and clean my ears out. Like, metaphorically speaking, just walk away, get on a phone call, go not listen to music for 20 minutes. So when you come back, the ear fatigue's gone. You can kind of start over,
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying because that's how I feel with a lot of aspects of like my own job. So when it comes to, I want to shift gears a little bit here. I know that there are a lot of people that will say, you can't do that, or that sounds like trash, or why didn't you do it XYZ way? How do you deal with people that like to come for your product, your content?
I do it anyways. I don't care.
Yeah.
I know that's a short answer, but permission to speak openly. And I said this before on YouTube, fuck them.
Yeah.
Now if it's okay, somebody like you, like I think you're like, I look up to you. I think you're a great talent. I love what you do. I like everything that you do. No, I do. So if you came to me and said, hey man, I watched your video and it was kind of shitty. dude, let's talk. Tell me, because that's how I
Right.
get better.
Right.
Saying, oh, great job, Chris. That is nice and it's flattering, but that doesn't really help you get better, you know?
Yeah,
So if someone
absolutely.
doesn't like it, I don't care. I just don't. If I think it's good and people get something out of it, the end, your opinion's irrelevant to me at that point, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people get kind of hung up on the what ifs. A lot of people, I feel like, are not creating content based specifically on the worry of the haters, the worry of the negative thoughts. And
Fear,
so
yeah.
I know that you and I have had in private conversation this conversation about what to do when people come for you and tell you that your content is terrible. One of the things that I really do appreciate about your content is that you do not care, because this is the thing that you want to be putting out. This is your art, this is your talent, and if they want to do it better, they should be doing it better themselves.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people say like, hey man, if you don't like it, fuck you. Like, I don't feel that way. Like I
No.
really do want people to like my content and I hope they get something out of it.
Of course.
But if someone's just gonna come out of the woodwork and just like talk shit about it, like, okay, that's fine. And also, I was always taught like, you know, you haven't made it until you have haters. You know, I would rather get 10 comments of people saying it sucks and why they hate it than no content. And again, like I'm not one of those people that try to be controversial or like
No.
edgy. Like I'm too old for that stuff anymore. But you know, at least you're getting something out of them. You know what I mean? But yeah, at the
Absolutely.
end of the day, I just don't care. I've already taken away all your ammunition. I tell people I talk fast, I'm short, I'm pale, blah 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 blah. Like what? You can't hurt me. There's nothing you can say that's gonna hurt me because I already said it all.
Right. And I think it speaks volumes about taking away other people's ammunition for that kind of thing. And when it comes to the people that are just going to speak like obscenities and say things like you're an idiot, you're a moron, like I thrive when it comes, and I know that like my co-host is going to die when I say this. I love constructive criticism because I feel like there's always something to be taken with it. However, I always get like pissed as soon as somebody gives me constructive criticism, but I always internalize it and then I figure out a way to be able to try and adapt it and change it and shift it. But
Well, and it's hard too because like humor is subjective. What is entertaining is subjective. So what I might watch and think is great, you may be like, wow, this is dog shit. I don't like this at all.
right.
So that's hard. So I always enjoy criticism where it's like technical stuff. Like, hey, if you move to the light here, it'd be a better picture, or adjust your ISO, or check your mic and stuff. Because that stuff it's either right or it's wrong. It's like math. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when it comes to the content, like I love hearing people's opinions, but you know, at the end of the day, I want to hear people's thoughts, but you know, I'll consider that to some point and then kind of put out what I want to put out to the best that I can, you know?
Absolutely. You know, it's like your content is your art. Your content is the thing that you are portraying from the very deepest parts of your soul. And if you're putting this out and you're waiting for somebody else to approve of it, then you're going to be demeaning yourself and you're going to be letting yourself down because your deep down soul knows what needs to be put out. Now, again, like going right back to your point about, you know, your ISO and adjusting the lighting and stuff like that, that's different. But adjusting the way that you create art, I don't think, never change who you are to appease somebody else. To appease somebody else's opinion of you. Like you're not responsible for the opinion of other people.
No. And I think too, if you're putting out content hoping for someone's approval, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Entertain people, provide value. And then to your second point about like criticism, you know, I've worked with like people like Steve Reynolds, who's just an absolute just icon of like morning show consultants. Yeah, he's phenomenal. And he taught me a lot of stuff that at the time I was like, nah. But I realized this guy's been successful for the longest time. And one of my favorite speakers, Tony Robbins, always says success leaves clues.
Yep.
So just, follow the breadcrumbs. It ain't complicated. If someone who's more successful than you tells you something, you should listen. Or if someone who's, sorry, my windows are opening up and blinding me. Or if someone, you know, like you and I are peers, you know what I mean? I would always listen to what you have to say because you're saying it from a place of love and from, you know, just being constructive criticism. So definitely listen, but you got to like, be yourself as well. I mean, you hit the nail on the head for sure.
Thank you. How do you learn best? What's your best way of learning?
Just let me do it.
Yeah.
Just let me do it. If it's
I'm
filming,
the same way.
give me the camera. I will figure out all the buttons mean. I will Google all the settings. That's how and this is going to sound like I'm bragging. It's just, this is how my brain works. You give me a book, I'm not going to learn shit.
No,
but if you give me a guitar or a keyboard or a software or a camera or an audio interface, I'll just figure it out. That's just, you know, I've been very blessed. I learned later in life. That's my gift. When I was younger, I used to hate that it's how I learned because I couldn't learn from reading. But now it's like, I'm blessed because I can learn things like that for the most part pretty easily. Not always, but yeah, I definitely learned just like, let me get my hands on it, whatever it is.
Yeah. Who are some of the people that you look up to? Because I've been really grateful throughout the course of this podcast to meet some really cool people. And one of my favorite quotes that I've actually had is surround yourself with people who are doing things at the caliber you want to be doing things. Who are those people for you?
There's a great quote, and it's work until your idols become your rivals.
Yes, I
and
love that.
That's always pushed me.
I love that so much.
In radio, I mean, there's 1,000 people. I could do it all day, but I'm on a bigger picture. A couple of my favorites that might be a little surprising. First is Conan O'Brien. Just because that dude came from, as a writer on The Simpsons, this awkward, nerdy dude, 9 feet tall, red hair, pale. Everyone made fun of his appearance, and that dude absolutely killed it on the talk show circuit for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And then he got that dirty deal at the Tonight Show with NBC. And he did this beautiful, eloquent speech talking about, not everyone gets what they want in life. And the quote that I always come back to is, he says, if you work really hard and you're kind, amazing things will happen.
Absolutely.
And I go back to that all the time. So he's a big inspiration for me. Weird Al Yankovic, surprisingly, my all-time favorite musical artist. He works completely clean, never cusses on records. What's really cool about him, he's done some radio interviews with people we know who I won't name drop today because they were trash. They were terrible. And they interview him and they ask him these dumb idiot questions.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, thank you for asking that. And actually what happened was, and he makes them look like the star, even though they're doing this just cringy interview.
That's awesome.
He was valedictorian at 16, graduated 2 years under his class. And it's just always been a classy performer. So just a couple of people that I look up to that really make me want to do more. And that's why I started doing parody videos, because I just wanted to be like him.
Yeah, that's so cool. So long term, what is your long-term goal? Like ultimate goal, sky is the limit for your life.
There's a lot.
I love it.
Some people have like that laser tunnel vision for like, they want to be the next Ellen, or they want to be a celebrity chef. Dude, I want to be in a rock band. I've always wanted to do that. I want to host a game show. I want to do that. I had a goal to be nationally syndicated, just achieved that. So that's been
so proud. Congratulations.
It still hasn't set in yet. It doesn't even make sense in my brain to me when I say it or someone says it to me. But yeah, I don't have one. I have like 1,000, because that's kind of how my brain works. And not because I'm greedy and I think I'm the shit. I don't at all, but I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And striving, I feel like is obviously your first step to being able to get there. Humility is one great thing. Also owning the shit that you do is also another incredible thing. What would you give advice wise to somebody that was like you in school, in elementary school, and wanted to go and achieve these big things?
That's a good question. So part of my job at the school I work for here in Detroit is to talk to high school students and parents and counselors and educators about that. And I always tell students the same story, and I'll tell you the same thing, not to get too deep, but just to be real for a second. Like when I was in school, McCall, I thought I was stupid. I thought I was a stupid person. Yeah. I did poor in history. I did poor in math. I did poor in science. But then when it came to like creative writing and videography and drama and band, I was getting A's. And instead of focusing on, wow, I'm really good at this, I said, why am I so bad at this?
Yep.
And my brother's a medical doctor. I love him. Best person I've ever met in my life. 4-pointed high school, undergrad, and medical school. Nobody does that. That's not a thing that humans do, right? Yeah. So in my house, when I brought home like a C+ in history, McCall, like that was not a good day for your boy.
Yeah.
But then one day I realized it doesn't matter if I'm not good at these things. If you're this fantastic poet, but you're really bad at science, who cares? Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. Like, yes, you should work hard in school. Yes, you try to get good grades. That helps you succeed, in your career and later in life. But I realized to focus on the things I'm good at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like when I go to Google News, I read a lot of articles about like video games and entertainment. I don't read articles about golf because I don't care. Yeah. And I think I look at yourself the same way. Take the things you love, take the things you want to do, take the things you're good at and focus on those. Don't worry about the shit that you're not good at. Who cares?
Absolutely. Because doubling down on the things that you are good at is going to make you way better in the long run. Is there anything else that you would like to add today?
Oh, God. Well, what is the time limit, McCall? Because I can do this all day.
We can do whatever you want to do, Chris Cruz. The Chris Cruz.
God, please. Okay. I guess the one thing I would say that really helped me get better at being a content creator and being a radio DJ, host, whatever, video maker, whatever, don't try so hard.
Right.
I tried for years to be funny and be the ladies' man. I'm this pimp, and all the girls want to have sex with me, and I'm going to hang out with all my bros, and they all want to buy me drinks because I'm so cool. And I realized that's not me at all, dude. I'm this nerdy dork with Star Wars tattoos that plays guitar and watches South Park on Hulu. I'm not cool. So when I stopped trying to be funny and stopped trying to be the star, I feel like I got a lot better and a lot more comfortable. So I would encourage anybody that's trying to do like what you're doing with your podcast or your morning show and trying to find the success that you've had is just don't try so hard. Don't think about it so much. Just be yourself. Some people are going to like it. Some people are going to hate it. And you're going to hear from both of them. But you got to do you and don't try so hard to be something you're not.
So this is going to like totally counteract everything that you just said. I mean, not really, but kind of. Do you ever analyze the amount of content you put out, the amount of time that your content is, the types of content that you put out, that sort of thing? Because like I want so badly for people to understand how important it is to be genuinely yourself. But is there any sort of a strategy behind it for other people to be able to learn from, maybe gain a little bit of value from on that front?
I think just make more stuff. Like every time I make a new YouTube video, I go back and I watch it and I go, shit, I did my crutch again. Like I always say the word so when I start talking.
Same.
So this week on the episode, and I always go, and I do that.
Yeah.
Every episode I do it like 1 or 2 times less because I catch myself.
Yep.
But I wouldn't catch myself. Like we go back to being afraid of putting out content. If I didn't put out videos just all the time, if I wasn't always barfing content, I wouldn't get better. Yep. And I think that's why some people, humbly have said they look up to me when it comes to content, which I don't get. I don't understand that. But I think just because I put out a lot of it.
That's why I was like, hey, be on my podcast.
Yeah, thank you. And that's how I get better. I don't think I'm great at any one thing. I think I just get better because I'm constantly doing it and unbeknownst to me, improving every single time, even if I don't notice it.
Yeah. Do you analyze like post edit, or do you analyze while you're editing and say like, I missed this spot. I missed this spot?
Both.
Okay.
Like, if I'm filming a YouTube video, I don't script them. I just have like 2 or 3 bullet points in my head, and obviously I can just riff on it. That's something I'm, been decent at. But then in post, I hack up those videos pretty hard. I trim all the fat. I take out any dead spots, unless I think it's funny or for effect or for a joke or something or make a point. But yeah, I hack up to keep them pretty tight because I know my attention span is short, and I don't want to watch, a 90-minute video. And if it's 7 and good, but if I can make it 6, most of the time I think that's better. Don't cut it to the point where it feels fake and forced. But for me, I stutter so much, and I'm always saying or so, that there's a lot of places I can cut stuff out just to make it kind of flow and keep it moving forward.
Yeah. How do you change up your posts to go on different platforms? So if you have a post that's going up on YouTube and you want to adjust it to be able to go up on Facebook, what do you do to be able to make it more genuine to those platforms?
I think it's a couple of things, and I'm completely ripping this off from Gary Vaynerchuk. Full disclosure.
I love it because I feel that.
Yep. I don't drink all the dude's Kool-Aid, but like 9 times out of 10, I feel like he's right on the money, and he's also rich. So what do I know? So obviously he knows what he's doing. It's a couple of things. So the first thing, and this is the most important rule that I found with social media, is post things natively. Yep. And what I mean by that is if you do a YouTube video, don't post that YouTube link to Facebook. Facebook will absolutely bury it and squash it. Their back-end algorithms. Twitter, I think, is okay, but the other platforms I wouldn't unless you put it in a comment or something. So if you do a YouTube video of, let's say, your podcast and put on your YouTube channel, cool. Take that video and then upload it natively to Facebook as well. Yep. And then also understand like what sizes go on what platforms. YouTube 16:9, obviously. Facebook now has moved more toward a square shape for their videos. Instagram, obviously a square. Twitter, kind of all over the place. And then the third thing is kind of keep track of your captions. Like when I post a video on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, I always write it differently for LinkedIn. Yeah. It's a different place. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, dropping that knowledge on your ass, I would say that on Facebook maybe, but on LinkedIn, I'd, just a hair more professional. So just kind of read the room and be aware of where you're posting and who's going to be looking at it on what platform. Yeah.
Think about it as like a different restaurant. You're not going to go into like a super nice 5-star restaurant in, anything that you'd wear on a normal day. LinkedIn is like clear up in this weird, I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, and you get more creative too when you stop copy pasting stuff. And I'm guilty of that, bro. I've done that many times.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
fully admit it, and I try not to. But when you just copy paste from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram to LinkedIn to TikTok to Snapchat to wherever, it kind of loses it's not special anymore.
Yeah.
So just kind of think about where you're posting it. How can you read the room and talk to those people more specifically? That's all. But also
How
don't
much?
overthink it either.
Yeah. I was going to ask, how much algorithm chasing do you do on each of the platforms? None.
No, I used to a lot, and I realized it didn't help. So on Instagram, I try to post a couple times a week. I just post it when I post it, man. Should I post it at certain times, at certain days? Probably, but I don't. On YouTube, I do. I post every Sunday morning, like around 9 a.m. or whenever I'm done with the video, because I'm always behind on stuff because I'm insane.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I've kind of given up on that. Like once in a while, I look at my analytics in the back end of like Instagram or YouTube or Twitter and watch how many views it got at 6 p.m. as opposed to like 9 a.m. But I think at that point, it starts becoming art. It starts becoming work. And like we talked about at the beginning, I don't want it to be work, and I won't do it.
Yep. How do you plan out your day since you are doing all sorts of crazy shit all the time?
Oh, God. I don't know. I just try to struggle to get everything done every day. I don't really plan out most days. It's like if I have time, I'll do this thing. Or if I don't, I'll do that thing. Or and a lot of times, again, it's a mood thing.
Yeah.
Like today, I definitely have time to do my YouTube video. I just don't think I'm going to do it today. I'm just not in the mood. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to sound like a shithead, like I'm spoiled. It's just I don't have it in me today. With this is easy because you're doing all the work. So this is easy. I can do this.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And I'm putting this one off. I mean, it's going to be a little bit before this post goes up. So it's like, okay, this is fine. It's always.
I don't always plan out my day. It's just try to fit everything in and get stuff done. I set alarms on my phone. Like if I my voice tracks for my Utah show have to be in by X time. I set an alarm for a half hour before. So I remember, oh shit, got to get those in. Didn't do that yet because I'm doing 35 other things.
Yep.
So, every day is an adventure, McCall. Every day is an adventure in my brain.
Mostly I like to pick other people's brains because my brain operates very similarly. And so it's like, I feel like maybe if there's a way that I can adapt it for my own self, because it's like I have a planner and I put in my planner and I color coordinate it because I'm like, okay, so if this is orange, then it means that I do this every single day. If this is red, this is work and I do this work every single day.
Whatever works. But mine is cat scratching on sticky notes.
Yep. And that's where I'm starting to go to because I'm like, okay, so I forget about my planner. If it is out of my sight, it is out of my mind. I am not thinking about that whatsoever.
Right.
Did you find any sort of struggles? Because I know that you did a morning show for, a little minute that you've done a morning show for. Did you ever find any struggles with keeping things on time that way? Or was it way simpler because it was more of a forced thing that it had to happen those times?
Yeah, it's math. So that was always easy for me. I never had a problem with that. And that's something I learned from Steve Reynolds is you got to punch out on the first joke. Stop trying so hard to be funny. Stop like if you and I were doing a show or it's, you and AJ and he has this funny line, cut. That's it. Punch out. Hit the commercial.
Yep.
Don't try to come back in. But also I have something funny to say. Right. And I'm the worst. I am the worst in the industry at that. I will openly admit that. And I work on it. And I was so fortunate to have Julia on a morning show here in Detroit because she's so funny.
Yeah.
She's so funny. I didn't have to be anymore. So that she made me, unbeknownst to her, so much better because I could focus on everything else. And she was just always the funny one. It was so easy.
Yeah. What do you think has been your biggest struggle with your job, your career, everything? What's the biggest struggle for you?
Probably, this is going to sound so lame, and I don't mean it to be cheesy, but like accepting myself.
Yeah. And
finding out what I'm good at. This is the first probably year or two where I really feel like I genuinely like myself. I like the stuff I'm putting out. I'm proud of it. I get excited about it. It's fun for me. And it wasn't always like that. I'm getting to the point now where I realize how my brain works and how my ADHD helps me and hinders me. Because it's for sure both. But when I was younger, I would just get frustrated because squirrel?
Earthquake?
Oh, yeah. So you're just like me, squirrel.
No,
but I would definitely get...
My whole house is like shaking. I don't know what's going on.
I'm just dropping these knowledge pellets on you, but...
I'm so proud.
Yeah. I would just get frustrated because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't do things. And now that I just kind of shut up and listen to my brain and listen to my subconscious, what things I learn, things I don't learn, things I remember, things I don't remember, it's made it a lot easier. As opposed to fighting it, like this is what I got. These are the cards I got, and this is how I'm going to play this hand,
Yeah. I really appreciate that because I think there are a lot of people that do struggle with ADHD that can't understand why this is the way that things operate for them. And so I really do appreciate the time that you're taking to dive into that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny because it's blatantly obvious that I have some kind of attention disorder. That is not a secret. I didn't get diagnosed till 4 or 5 years ago.
Really?
I just always thought I was hyper. And I go
Yeah.
to a doctor and he goes, okay, fill out this thing. And it was like on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Mine were all just 9s and 10s, dude. That shit was on fire. And he
Right.
goes, okay, so we tried medication, didn't really work for me, so I'm not doing that. I just kind of listen to my brain and listen to myself. And when I'm in a funk, okay, you're in a funk. Let's do something out of it, as opposed to being, why can't I finish this? I'm so mad. Oh, Chris, why are you so stupid? It's like, no, this is just how you're programmed, dude. So let's go walk the dog. Let's go wash the dishes, And I don't fight it. And I think that's why I'm finding a point in my career where I feel like I'm finally successful, because I'm just listening to myself and I'm playing the cards that I got, as opposed to being mad and not having a different hand dealt,
Right. Yeah, I do. Have you ever like sat down and like actually just like written out things? Do you learn that way? Are you better at like writing things out to like just all in the brain?
Yeah, and I don't say that. It's not like I'm Jay-Z and I go in the booth and I spit off the dome. It's not like that at all. But no,
Right.
I'm not a big note taker. What I will do, let's say I have an idea for a funny song or whatever. I'll start like a Microsoft document and like start the first 2 lines and let it sit in a folder for 2 years and then come back to it so I don't forget. But for the most part, I try to just keep things up here, which my fiance hates because I forget stuff constantly. If it's not written down, let me put it like this. If it's not something I thought of doing or something that I want to do, it's not getting done. Just period. Unless you got to fucking shove me into the volcano, because I'll forget,
Fine, I'll do it. No, I feel that because I forget stuff all the time. I mean, it'll be all the time. And every once in a while I do get into like those funks that you were kind of talking about a little bit ago. Just like this last weekend, I was just around and it's like, I could not remember anything to save my life, like nothing. And it's like in one ear, right out the other. What do you do when those kinds of things come up? Do you go take the dog out for a walk, or is there something else that you do to kind of ground yourself?
It depends on the situation. Like if I'm home alone, I'll just go do something, play guitar for a half hour. I'll dig around, go play Call of Duty for 20 minutes. If I'm with people, I learned a really cool trick. I don't remember if this was from a book or someone told me, but when you're talking to someone, it's a little hard here because we're not in person.
Right.
Look at them and memorize what color their eyes are.
Okay.
Because you'll be forced for about 5 seconds to lock into them. And then you remember, McCall do you have green eyes? Are they green?
Green eyes, yeah.
Green? Wow, I can barely tell because your background is just so bright.
All sparkly.
But so are you.
Thanks.
But it kind of helps you like stare and focus for a minute, And my thing, and I'm going to guess you're going to say this, that you're going to say me too to this. When someone's talking, I'm even doing it today, and I catch myself doing it. All I think about is what I want to say next.
Yep, I do too.
As opposed to listening. And I've been accused of being rude my whole life for that. And I want to explain to people, you guys, I'm not choosing to do that. That's my brain firing. Tell me, Chris, say something. Chris, say something. Chris, be funny. Chris, be funny. And sometimes I just want to be like, brain, shush.
Right.
And that's not how it works for people like me. You know what I mean? It's not an excuse. That's not, woe is me. Not at all, dude. Like, I'm lucky. I'm blessed. But sometimes it is very difficult. Just hard.
Yeah. And, sometimes you have to say it because if you don't say it, you forget. And so it's like your brain is like, go, you have to say it right now. And that's exactly how my brain operates, because it'll be, and then I feel really bad because I'm like, okay, so you can't just cut people off. Like you can't just talk over top of them because you feel like you're more important. And it's like, no, but I don't feel like I'm more important. It's like, if I don't say this thing, it's gone forever. Like it's there for 2 seconds and then it's gone.
There's a really good book. It's written in like the 1920s. It's by Dale Carnegie, and it's called How to Make Friends and Influence People.
Love it.
And it's written in like old timey English. It's kind of hard to read, but there's a part there, and he basically says, people love to talk about themselves, so talk about that.
Yeah.
Especially if you get 2 people like you and I, we're both like these, like I guess I don't want to say like an alpha type, but the ones that want to talk a lot, we're both chatterboxes, and we're the clowns. People like to talk about themselves. So let's say I meet a new neighbor for the first time. They're like, oh, we just moved here from Utah. I have 2 choices. Oh, cool. I voice track a station in Utah. Yep. Or, oh, cool. What city did you live in? Oh, is that like where you're from? They don't give a shit about you. They give a shit about themselves, And once you learn that, it changes the game. Meeting people, dating, landing interviews. It's a game changer when you can learn that people want to talk about themselves. It's not because we're selfish. It's just how we're programmed. It gets everyone excited to brag a little bit,
Yeah.
Let them brag.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. That was one of the things that I learned. So I worked at a bank for a little bit. And that was one of the, one of the big things that I learned. I loved it. I really did. But like, I like to say that a bad day in radio is still better than a good day at the bank. For me, at least, up until this point. Knock on wood, nothing ever happens to me.
Right.
But I have had this conversation over and over and over and over again, because the more questions you can draw out of people, the more you can get attention from other people. It sounds so manipulative, and I do not mean it to be manipulative. This is just how the human brain works. The more attention and the more conversation you can get out of people about themselves, the more they are going to like you, because you compliment them, because you bring out the things that they want to be talking about anyway, because they don't want to freaking talk about, your passion about whatever dumb thing, horses or chickens or, I live in the country. So
for the record, McCall hates horses. You heard it here first,
I love
folks.
horses. How dare you? How dare you spin national headlines? Just kidding. One day, maybe. But it's amazing to me, the amount of friendship, the amount of networking that you can get based solely on dragging conversation out of people. So with networking, I feel like you do a phenomenal job with networking. What advice would you give to people for that? Because that's key number one for getting a job, literally anywhere, AKA the Chris Cruz.
Thank you. Be yourself, be genuine. Don't be afraid to reach out to people and talk to people when you don't need something from them.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to go on too long about it, but that's really it. Keep touch with people. Like when you asked me to do this podcast, what did I say?
I think you said, why did you even ask?
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm going to do it because we're friends.
Right.
Because we talk when we don't need things from each other.
Yep.
Hey, can I show you this graphic? Check it out. Cool. And then we just bullshit about whatever.
Right.
That's how you network and build relationships, is just talk to people. When something happens for them, clap for them, congratulate them, let them know that you're watching and that you care. So someday when you might need something for them or they can be a resource to you, it doesn't feel awkward or different.
Yeah.
And again, that's hard
obligation.
for me because I'm like you. I always want to talk about me. And again, not because I'm self-indulgent. It's just that's what my brain does. So I have to tell myself, oh my gosh, McCall just got this new promotion. Holy shit, I got to DM her, dude. Or I'm going to post on her page so everyone sees it. Get her more attention on her. I've got plenty on me. I don't need any more eyeballs on me, dude. Let's share the love and share the wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, they always say the old adage of high tide raises all boats. That's exactly what it is. The more attention that you can give to other people, a lot of people I feel like think that everything's a competition, and for hell's sakes, it is not a competition. The more attention you can bring to other people, the more attention they're going to be bringing to you. Again, it sounds manipulative. It sounds like this should be an obvious statement, but yet here we are in the year 2020 and people are freaking fighting over dumb shit. And rather than trying to bring attention to how great this thing is that this other person is doing. Why in the world are we sitting around and trying to tear other people down when we have the opportunity to be able to raise other people up? Why?
I think a lot of people project and they're insecure.
Yes.
Going back, we talked about earlier about, haters, people making fun of you and stuff. When someone tells you that you can't do something or you shouldn't do something, it's because they're upset and jealous that they don't have the bravery to do it themselves.
Absolutely.
I used to wear eyeliner, whatever, don't give a shit. People make fun of me. I don't care. Fuck you. But because they're wearing the generic T-shirt and the generic clothes or whatever, and they're too insecure to branch out, and that's why they say things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually kind of sad at the end of the day when people are talking shit and making fun of you. It's sad for them. If you think about it like that.
It is, and back to your statement about drinking Gary Vaynerchuk's Kool-Aid, but he talks a lot about that, having empathy for the people that are out there that say things to you that are negative, that are mean, because that's exactly what it is. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, we are humans, and the human condition is to be insecure and just hate everything, and be very, very miserable in our own lives, thinking how terribly we're doing, when in reality, the things that you are doing is incredible because it's created by you. I mean, a lot of people I think don't think about that, and they don't own the fact that this was an idea. It all started from an idea, and it all stemmed from this idea, but you actually had the opportunity to execute on it. And so how sad is it that somebody else is so jealous that they feel like they need to lash out on your own comments to say that those things are not valid?
Well, and that's the thing about creativity, McCall. Like, if you think about it, this is so silly, but it's like magic. Before you hit record and turn your camera on today, this conversation, this video, this piece of audio didn't exist.
Nope.
You created it like out of thin air.
Yep.
And yes, that's a little, hoity-toity, but think about it like that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And God forbid that you're too scared to put it out because someone might not like it. Like you create, and they didn't create anything. You're the one making it.
Yep.
How cool. That's so cool to me.
It is so cool. And one of the things that I have stumbled across recently has been a couple of different conversations with people that are like, well, what happens if like my sister hates it? What happens if my cousin hates it? What happens if this, I'm nervous to make this because of these different people. And the statement that I've always come across is, who freaking cares? They're going to hate it anyway. That's the thing. You can either be sitting back and thinking, well, I can't do this because so-and-so hates it. Or you can be doing the thing you want to be doing and have so-and-so hate it anyway. And then come ask you for money in 20 years or 5 years or 2 years or however long it is.
And when it comes to content, like there's no rules. If you want to make it, make it. If someone tells you it can't be done that way, that's when I know I'm onto something,
Yep. Absolutely.
And people like you talk about like your sister might hate it or whoever. People don't know what they want.
No.
If you're telling someone you're going to start a new YouTube show or a podcast or a band or a TV show, whatever, and they tell you to do a certain way, they don't know what they want.
No.
I love when Henry Ford said, if I would have listened to what people wanted, they would have wanted a faster horse.
Yep. Exactly.
And to build a fucking car.
Yep.
People don't know what they want. There are no rules. There is no thinking outside the box because there is no box. Do whatever you want. People are going to like it. Who cares? Do it anyways.
Absolutely. Awesome. Chris, anything else that you would like to add? Where can people find you on social media? All of that good stuff.
ChrisCruz.com.
Cool.
All my stuff's on there.
Beautiful. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
And this has been Quit Your Damn Job, episode something. I really don't know what episode it is, but